So welcome. This is our briefing for the week of September 13th, 2021. We're going to go ahead and begin with our advisory board interviews. Give me 1 second here. It is not on my book here.
You might have the question I had mine on my keyboard.
Commissioner Trask, would you take this part, please, and begin it? I don't have it. I'm going to step out and get a copy of the questions because I do not have it.
Okay, absolutely. Good morning. How are you?
Not bad.
Good. Pamela?
Yes.
You go by Pam or Pamela?
Pam.
Perfect. Right. Pam, welcome to our briefings. We're going to start our questioning.
Okay.
Commissioner Schutte, if you could take question 1, I'll take 2, and hopefully by then we'll have Commissioner Netherman.
I have mine now, and I'll take 3. Thank you.
Would you like to take over?
No, go ahead. You finish it, please.
Okay.
Hey, Pam, thanks. So question number 1 is, what do you see as the function of this advisory board?
Well, the advisory board is basically there to bring to the commissioner's attention issues with veterans in the county. They're they maintain their own I guess update their the rules, review and update the rules as necessary, their own bylaws, etc. But to advocate for veterans, primarily to support the county veteran service officer, and to basically help bring the commissioners, the county attention toward issues with veterans.
Great, thank you. And why do you want to sit on this advisory board?
Well, I was the Okanagan County Veteran Service Officer. I really enjoyed that job. We moved here for my husband's work, and I want to maintain help, being able to help veterans. I kind of got a taste for it, and so when the position opened, I jumped on it.
Are you currently a member of any veterans organizations now?
I'm with the American Legion.
Thank you.
The board may meet during regular business hours. Is that a problem for you?
No.
Okay.
And do you have any conflicts of interest with the mission of this advisory board?
My husband's works as a prosecutor for Mason County, so that's about the only conflict that I don't see how that could ever be a thing, but I thought I'd put that out there. So
good disclosure, right?
Yes.
So Pam, do you have any questions for us?
Well, reading the bylaws, it wasn't really clear how often they meet, the board. So I've got one thing says they meet monthly, and one thing says they meet every other month. That was probably something overlooked during an update. So when do they meet? At least once a month, or does anybody know?
Commissioners, this is Diane. So the VSOs, the Veterans Advisory Board, the VAB, they meet once a month on the second Wednesday.
All right, got it. Okay.
Diane is our know-all.
Do you have any other questions for us, Pam?
No, I don't think so. I actively worked with the Okanagan County Veterans Advisory Board. They met in my office once a quarter, so I already know kind of the process that they go through. So, no, I don't think so.
All right, very good. Thank you. Thank you, Pam. We have one more that we are going to interview, but we should let you know. We should have it come up with a decision probably soon.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you, Pam.
So commissioners, I do not see David on here.
I gotta give David a call.
Okay, why don't you go ahead and do that?
All right, just a moment.
Commissioner Trask, in fairness, since you did the last one, would you mind doing this one as well, so to make sure it's completely balanced?
Yep, not at all.
Thank you.
One of my favorite groups.
Good morning, David. This is Mackenzie from the Mason County Commissioner's Office. How are you?
I am fine, thank you very much. How are you?
I'm doing well. So we have you in the briefing with the commissioners. Are you ready for your interview?
Certainly.
Hi, David. This is Sharon Trask. How are you this morning?
I am fine, thank you.
Good, good. So we have a few questions that we're going to ask you. We'll alternate questions, and at the end, you'll be able to ask us a few questions if you have any. Commissioner Schutte will begin. I'll be second, and then Commissioner Netherland.
Thanks, Commissioner. Good morning, David. First question we have is, what do you see as the function of this advisory board?
Well, I would assume that it's assisting veterans in resolving issues that they have, either long-term or short-term, in just dealing with life.
All right, great. So why do you want to sit on this advisory board?
Well, I'm already an advocate for veterans. I have been for about the last 3 years, and I do a lot of work with them of getting them to benefits, to doctor's appointments, and whatever else they need in regards to transportation. So I think already being an advocate that this would be a good way to expand on what I can do to help veterans.
David, are you currently a member of any veteran organizations?
I'm a veteran of the American Legion, the DAV. I deal with my card says Vets Helping Vets. I'm not currently dealing with the misdemeanor veterans, but I did that for about a year and a half. So those are the organizations I belong to right
now. This board may meet during regular business hours. Would that be a problem for you, David?
Nope, I'm retired. I got lots of time.
Okay.
Do you have any conflicts of interest that might conflict with this advisory board?
No, I have none at all.
David, do you have any questions for us?
I thought about that, and I was trying to figure out. No, I'm just. No, I don't have any questions for you. My knowledge level of what all is going to go on is not high enough to be able to specifically ask you questions in regards to what it is.
All right, great. Well, David, we are going to cuss and discuss, and we'll get back to you as soon as we have an answer for you. We have one other candidate, so as soon as we choose the person, we will let you know.
Okay, cool. Thank you very much. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, David.
Thanks,
Okay.
David.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See that one's disconnected first.
The phone has been hung up.
All right, commissioners, do you have a preference now?
Wow, both of them are amazing. They sound like great people with a passion for our veterans. Do we have 2 spots? And Diane, we only have 1, right?
Yes, you have 1.
We've got Diane all over this this page. We got Diane's everywhere here. How about you, Commissioner Schutte? Do you have a preference already, or?
Yeah, I think both really strong candidates. I would lean towards appointing Pam.
How are you feeling, Commissioner Trask?
Gosh, either one I think would be a great, would do a great job. Yeah, I could support Pam.
Then we will go ahead and move forward with Pam. Everybody, we have consensus there?
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. Next, we're going to go ahead and move forward with the next briefing. We're going to move into our briefing with support services. Frank Pinter. Good morning, Frank.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you very much. The first item we have on our agenda is the Arpa funding. And I brought forward the list of ARPA available items for the commission to review again. Also to update the board on the fact that contracts have gone out to PUD1, PUD, the Hood Canal Communications, PUD3 is getting their contract today, and Belfair Water is getting their contract today, and the EDC also received their contract about 2 weeks ago, and they're in review of those contracts. So again, no action, just so that it's in front of you. We'll be bringing this forward on a regular basis to discuss what the commission would like to do with the balance of the funding that's available. We're also looking at what is available for revenue reimbursement, and we'll do a briefing in the next week or 2 to discuss what that means for the county and what those dollars might be. We're just firming up some of those numbers because it's somewhat of a complicated process to go back and look at what that might represent to the county. The next item is the disposition of the 2 public works parcels on the corner of Highway 101 and 102. This is parcel number 7 and parcel number 8. There has been an offer for purchase that the commission has been reviewing in executive session. And we'd like to ask to put on the action agenda tomorrow to call for a public hearing for the sale of those 2 parcels.
I have a question on that, Frank. So normally when we do our public hearings for sale on the parcels, we're at the point to where we're ready to sell the parcel. Where this one, we're not at that point. There's a feasibility of 120 days. There is a lot going on. There may be changes that occur. Is it appropriate to have that hearing now? Because we've already signed our intent, and on the intent, it said that for it to be actually sold for the final closing, it would have to go through a commissioner meeting and a vote. But considering we're a half a year out, does it make sense for us to, because what happens if this doesn't go through?
If it doesn't go through, what we have is an authority to sell that has gone through a public hearing vetting process. But then the public hearing, no, I hear what you're saying in that regard, that the public hearing would not have the final disposition of the contract.
Yeah.
In front of it. So we have entered into a feasibility study period.
Yeah.
So we'll push the public hearing off until after that feasibility study is completed and that there is truly a contract to be sold.
Yeah. Because
Under.
it was such an odd situation, I called Frank and asked him about it before I even signed these, because normally we would sign them, but because we were setting up a hearing, it seemed like it wasn't quite meshing up correctly for me. So I called him and asked him, and he says, no, we've agreed that I need to sign the letter of intent or the purchase and sale agreement. But I'm glad.
But to hold a public hearing might be premature until after the feasibility study is completed.
Because we did
Okay.
hold a hearing to already surplus the property, so we don't have to do that.
Correct.
Commissioners,
Has
you agree with
anybody-
holding off?
Well, I just, has anybody had a conversation with Tim
No,
about what the requirement would be for us? I mean, I know you and Commissioner Netherland, and Frank, you and Commissioner Netherland obviously spoke, but I mean, it might be worth a phone call before we get too far out over our skis.
I will give him a call as soon as we're finished with the this portion of the briefing, and maybe get an answer back before the end of the briefing.
And just to be
scheduled
clear,
for today.
and just to be clear, Commissioners, the only thing I had a conversation with them on was signing the purchase and sale agreement, where normally I always would sign that without a problem because we agreed to move forward with that. This time, the only reason why I called to ask is it seemed weird to have a hearing and that at the same time, and maybe I should hold off on signing a purchase and sale if we're going to wait until we had a hearing. So that was my only conversation, not whether to do this other. So yeah, Frank, if you'll find out for us if there's any issue or if we should be holding off, actually.
Right, I'll get an answer before the end of the briefing schedule today.
Thank you.
Next item is a review of the lobbyist contract. Deborah Mangia accepted the proposal or the RFP and presented a contract for the board for review for lobbying services. And I would like to ask if you would like to put it on for action tomorrow and have the county enter into that contract agreement.
Commissioners, anybody have any questions regarding the contract first?
I did not.
I do not.
And everything has gone through Tim Marie.
Correct.
Are you ready to put it on for tomorrow's meeting, Commissioners?
I would be.
Yep, it's good.
Let's make it happen, Frank.
Will do. Next item is a discussion of the replacement for the DEM, IT, and Parks Manager. As you're aware, the Parks Manager, DEM, and IT Manager has resigned for personal reasons. Last day was last Friday, and we're looking for authority to put a replacement and to discuss a modification to that position. So the position currently manages DEM, IT, and Parks. The conversation has been to split that position into two separate areas, separating DEM and the central services functions of IT and Parks Manager. DEM would be a separate entity that would require a fulfillment of that position in the future. The IT and Parks Manager would be handled under central services, and as such would be a new position called a project manager, which still reports to Diane as central services manager, but at a lower range. Currently, the position was at a range 38. The recommendation is to put this at a range 32. Call it a project manager. Again, still reporting to Diane, and take on the responsibilities to facilitate the parks management as well as the administrative services for facilities management. And what I mean by administrative, things like grants, documentation, paperwork that would be handled by this person under central services and as part of their commensurate responsibilities with parks.
Go ahead.
I was just wondering if a job description has been written for that position yet?
We're in the process of drafting one. Yes.
Just so we're clear for myself, I don't see that as the strongest way to go with what we're doing. When we sit down, we put all the cards on the table, we're going to see that this is going to end up being a big expansion of personnel in the end. If we're creating another position to do this, we're creating another management position, calling it whatever we want. I would like to see us look at everything holistically on this, and or at least consider it. We're going to have a situation, we're bringing in an administrator into a position that has no deputy administrator, no secretary, no anything like that. We got this other situation where we have people that we're going to bring somebody in to run pieces that they're not connected with again. I would rather see us look at creating a true lead position of some sorts, a lead management position, whatever you want to call it, in each of the departments, so that they are managing themselves and then responding to Diane or however we set this up. But I think it's important that we establish a strong leadership position in each of those, at least those two positions, in IT and in the parks. They have the experience, they have the knowledge and the ability to do it. I just see it as a small movement forward there for them and keeping them as working staff. And then having a holistic view of what all we're going to need here in all the support services.
Yeah, I would, my thoughts on it are kind of go like this. The position that Ross was in, that was this amalgamation of parks, IT, and DEM was really unique and related, directly to the budget cuts in 2017. And it was put together like that because Ross had a specific skill set and a financial necessity. I think we have some really capable and qualified staff in those areas that can keep the lights on, so to speak, over the next month or two. And I'd really like to allow the new administrator to come in and evaluate those areas, evaluate the current staffing, and be able to organize it in a way that fits with their, that fits with what their organizational structure, is going to be. I know that there's some things that really make sense in terms of, IT being, I think a lot of the things, Frank, that you said, in terms of how to kind of manage things in the interim make a lot of sense. There's some bigger picture issues that Commissioner Netherland mentioned, I think in particular with where DEM is ultimately housed. We got, like I said, I think we have good staff in there that can keep the lights on over the next few weeks as we onboard a new administrator, and then, really have that be one of the things that position is tasked with as they get started is putting together, doing a needs assessment and coming to us with a plan, and then having a conversation with us in that way, versus rushing into something that might not, really fit the organization, the direction the organization is going right now.
Mr. Trask?
Yeah, pretty wise words there. I definitely have my thoughts, but they may not be the appropriate thoughts, right? They may not fit. Of course, I think they're brilliant, but who really knows? That might be a really good task for our new administrator to jump in on and really talk to the different departments. I think all of us have our ideas of where DEM should sit. And the new administrator could speak to us also, and then also those departments. And so would you consider putting somebody with lead pay? And you know how I feel about lead pay. If it's temporary, great. Let's not do it permanently. But if you have, somebody in IT, parks, and DEM, if we could give them lead pay until there is a solid proposal put forward, I think that would be a great idea.
Frank, what do you think about the idea of the lead pay? I like it.
I definitely like the idea of including the new county administrator in the conversation about how to structure the organization, and have them put their 2 cents worth, so to speak, into that decision-making. Lead pay, we can look at lead pay. I know IT is already paying lead pay, but we can look at that and bring that forward at our next briefing and have a follow-up conversation around how that might look for parks and or even DEM.
And even for them, if we're going to put management responsibility on it, there needs to be a compensation for
Correct.
that management responsibility. So please consider for all of them.
Yep, and will do. And then we'll bring it back at our next briefing.
Are we all comfortable with that, commissioners?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, Frank. What else you got?
Thank you. Next item is Diane, PUD privilege tax resolution.
Morning, Commissioners. So I'm asking the board to adopt a resolution. It's for the distribution of the Public Utility District privilege tax that each year the public utility districts, they pay to the state. It comes back to the county, then we disperse it between the county and the city of Shelton. And what I'm asking is we do a resolution that would authorize the treasurer to distribute this each year, and we don't have to do a new resolution then every year.
That seems smart. Commissioners?
I'd say that's pretty brilliant.
That's good government efficiency, Diane. I appreciate that.
I think that's a yes, Diane, all the way around.
I think it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Diane. Next item is a contract with Mason Health. Nicole?
Sorry about that. Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
We're just asking to renew our Mason General Health contract. It actually expired on December 31st of 2020. This contract, we are actually asking to renew and stay in for 5 years to expire on December 31st of 2026. There are no changes to any sort of cost or anything else.
I'm in forward to moving forward, commissioners.
Sounds good to me.
Thank you.
Now, there was no changes at all, right? Because I tried to see any change. There's nothing. Okay, thank you.
No, there's no changes at all. Just the duration of the contract was the only thing we changed, and this locks in the prices for the next 5 years in case there are any increases on the hospital side.
Okay.
Thank
you
you,
very much,
Commissioner.
Nicole.
Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you, Nicole. Next item is Jennifer with our August financials.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
Beginning on page 2 for the August financials, we have collected so far this year in current expense, $28,896,817 compared to last year, $24,261,487. So that's an increase of $4,635,330. So once again, I'm happy to report good information, or happy information to you. So any questions on this revenue that we've received so far?
Again, a big chunk in the treasurers. Is that, if it's making up for last year's slowdown, or is there something?
Well, yeah, I mean, we've collected 1.2 million, I believe it was, in sales tax, 1.2 million over what we did last year. So that's a big chunk of that. Of course, we're down in interest revenue, but that's more than made up for in other areas, the biggest in sales tax. So any other questions on that? Nope. Okay. Thank you. Okay, so moving on to page 3 and 4, the treasurer's revenue, which we already touched on a little bit. We have about 800,000 more in property taxes collected in that top line over last year, but that a big part of that is because of the levy shift. So you'll see a decrease in the diversion revenue on page 4. The sales tax is again 1.2 million over what we collected last year. We've collected 5.4 million compared to 4.2 last year. Other areas that are increased, we have the LE and CJ one-time cost, that's 255,000, so that's a one-time revenue. We have the city county assistance, 328,000 roughly over last year. The in lieu of city of Tacoma, that's about 100,000, 105,000 more than last year. The interest shown on page 4, that's down about 293,000 from last year. And then another big chunk is that we're over last year is in the rents and leases, the DNR Timber Trust. We've collected 700,000 this year compared to last year about 150,000. So that's a big increase. Any questions on pages 3 and 4 before we move on?
Not from me.
Nope.
Okay. Moving on to page 5, we have the expenditures. This year we're at $24,599,052 compared to last year $23,575,638. This year we're at 60% of our total budget, and last year we were at 61%. So we're right where we should be overall. Looking at the individual departments, the parks and trails, I think we're going to need an amendment there. I know that they're way over on their fuel from what I budgeted, and the coroner, I believe, will also need an amendment. So any questions on any of these figures shown?
The same question as I had before. We still have an issue where we're seeing 126% of traffic policing being spent. It's not going to come out of that line. Whatever that difference is should be coming out of whatever line it's supposed to come out of.
Well, so the revenue portion on that was reduced because we ended up doing the levy shift for half of that diversion. The number that we have that was our target in the past was 2.16, and that was because that's how much traffic policing was being conducted. And so overall, they're at 62% of their total expenditures, the sheriff department is, which is right where they should be. And so if we reduce their traffic policing, I mean, that's got to go somewhere, and they shouldn't be misreporting what they're doing just to accommodate the revenue that's coming in for that, is my understanding. But I don't know if the sheriff department is on and wants to speak to this at all, because I might not be saying it.
Is there anybody from the sheriff's department that's on that would like to speak right now?
Yeah, the undersheriff is.
Hi, undersheriff.
Howdy.
So why is it that we are reporting under traffic policing? We're at 126% of our budgeted number.
Yeah, it's kind of like Jen was saying there. I'm not sure how to. It was kind of a one way or the other as far as reporting it. We're not doing any less work for traffic this year than we did last year. So, we're doing roughly $2 million worth of time and effort as far as traffic is concerned. It's just that that much money is not being diverted as it has in years past. And so the question really comes down to we're still doing that time and effort, but we just don't have that much money being transferred from roads to show for it. To us, it's not really the skin off our nose one way or the other. We're still doing that amount of traffic, but the question just comes down to, do we want to really show what time and effort we're doing there for the year or not, I guess.
For myself, that all makes good sense on the revenue side, but on the expenditure side, I still have 126% being expended on a budget line that it shouldn't be going over the top of. And that means I have an underreporting on the upper line of the sheriff's department that says 57% that should be at a higher number. So somewhere that's got to be moved to where it's supposed to be showing the expenditure, because it can't come out of that other line. It has to come out of the regular expenditure somewhere.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it's all time and effort. It's all expenditure under wages and benefits, essentially. So, yeah, I mean, we're showing the expenditures out of traffic is all wages and benefits because of time and effort for traffic. So, yeah, I agree. When you look at it, it shows the upper line at 57% and the other one at 126, and it's hard to get a real picture of where we're at. I know because Cheryl does a fantastic job of giving us a printout every month, which shows that we're at 62%. And so I know that, but I see what you're saying. The only challenge that we had at the beginning of the year was trying to decide, okay, if we're doing $2 million worth of time and effort in traffic, if we don't show that we're doing it, then that number gets lost in the upper line of just straight wages and benefits. So that also is a little bit confusing. And I'm not advocating for one or the other. I know exactly what you're saying, and I don't necessarily disagree with it. It was just kind of a 6 here, half dozen there. I don't know.
And if I can say something else on this, the $1,080,000 is actually not the true expenditure budget for that. That's the revenue that's coming in. The actual traffic policing expenditure budget is much higher than that in Munis and what was adopted. But we're showing the $1,080,000 just to show that, that's the revenue coming in. The expenditure that's come out is the 1.36 million. So maybe it would be beneficial or less confusing if I show the actual traffic policing expenditure budget. We had changed that last year when we were still at the 2.16 million to show that we were actually expending that amount, because that was when we were just needing to prove that 2.16 million was expended. It was a little bit more controversial, I guess, with CRAB. So I don't know if that would be something that you want me to report, Commissioner.
Maybe they should both be in the same line, if that's the case, because we're not showing the proper amount of revenue coming in then, or going into it either then. If we have revenue coming out of their other fund to show it, we need to have that in the line showing what's going to be expended out of. So you're showing 1.08 million for revenue. But if you're going to have another 500,000 or $1 million out of the general fund or out of their budget, that needs to show as revenue, and it shows for a total expenditure of 2 million. If we're going to expend 2 million, we need to show that we're expending 2 million. If we're going to spend 1.08, then we show we're going to expend 1.08, or combine them all together to where it's still just the sheriff's budget.
Yeah, I'll change that next month so that it's the true budget for traffic policing, and we'll see if that maybe helps clear things up.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions on this before we move on? Okay, so moving on to page 6, we have the 6-year specific revenue streams comparison. Everything is up compared to last year and the previous 5 years, or almost everything, except for, of course, the property taxes because of the levy shift. So the road diversion property taxes, of course, lower this year, but everything continues to increase, which is great. Any questions on this?
So again, that's our 800,000 on the on our property tax coming in difference, and we don't know if there's if that is because there was a shortage of last year's that did not get paid because of COVID and the allowing them to hold off for a while, or if that is just more income that's coming in.
Right. I have not gotten a chance to really dive into that, so I'll try and get to that.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to page 7, we have the sales tax. So we collected a record amount in August, $800,707. The projection, according to this, how it's calculated is taking the 12-month rolling average change and multiplying that by the tax collected. So from this projection, we're at about 7.5 million, but I believe we will probably be closer to about 8 million at least, maybe 8.2 million in collections, which is just unbelievable. Typically our, September through December months are our big collectors. So big collecting months. So if we collect 700,000 each month in those 4 months, we'll be at about 8.2 million. So that's great news. So any questions on that?
Oh, just a wow.
Okay, so moving on to page 8, we have our 6-year recap. So our current expense cash is at 20,656,905. Our total revenue collected is 73% of our total budget, and our total expenditures again are at 60% for current expense. Moving on to page 9, we have the special fund cash balances. So we are at 42,113,578. And that's, close to 10 million higher than last year. But a big portion of that is the American Rescue Plan Act fund, which is sitting at 6.134 million. But overall, everything's sitting pretty well. One really kind of small fund that jumps out to me is the law library. It's continued to decrease in its cash. And so I don't know if we need to look at, the collections coming in or the expenditures going out there, but just wanted to keep in mind that we may eventually run into some cash flow problems there.
Is that the difference? And you may not know this, the difference in the contracts that we did for the law library?
I think that it's mainly like the revenue that's coming in and not so much on the expense side of things, but again, I haven't dug into that too far, so I'll try and do a little more investigating on that with Jim Madsen.
Okay.
Moving on to page 10, we have the motor pool budget to actual comparison. And so far we have spent 990,742 through August. We're at 74% of our total budget. And we have fully expended our motor pool capital upfit. So we'll need to add some money into that line for the vehicles that are completed between now and December. And I know we'll need to add a little bit of fuel into some of the departments since that was, again, underestimated because fuel has gone up. But those are the major things that why we're over on that.
So now the upfit or the fuel part, I understand completely. The upfit, how is that? Are we getting? Because I thought we were getting less cars in than we thought. What's happening with the upfit costs?
So all of the cars that we budgeted for 2021, so that was in 2020's budget. Those vehicles, we don't know exactly when they're kind of going to come in, and so all of those vehicles have come in, which is why we're fully expended there.
Okay.
Page 11, we have the special and other funds revenue. We are at 40,787,322 for this year. Last year, we were at 24,751,320, and we're at 71% of our total revenue budget for special and other funds this year compared to 59% last year. I know a big portion of that is welfare, wastewater, and water reclamation fund 413. We had the big bond refunding, which was several $1,000,000. So it's a revenue coming in and an expense going out. So that kind of inflates that number a little bit, but overall the revenue is looking really good for all of our special funds. It looks like the equipment rental and revolving fund, we need to work on getting those funds to pay in. They should be paying in monthly to that fund. So I'll work with Public Works on that and see what's happening there. Any questions on that? Or any of that? Okay, moving on to page 12, our last page, the special and other funds expenditure comparison. We're at $31,131,021 this year compared to $22,017,296 last year. This year we're at 46% of the budget, overall budget, and last year we were at 43% of the overall budget and expenditures. So questions on that page?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. That's all that I have, commissioners.
Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners, and that's all we have.
Frank, just one thing I have for you to think about is the Russellwood. I know there's some more issues that are happening there. I was talking to Loretta the other day on the ARPA funds. There may be a need or an opportunity, however you look at it there. Would you mind reaching out to them and seeing what they're coming up with?
Absolutely. I have a meeting scheduled with her tomorrow. Is this in regards to utility arrearages?
That and maybe a project.
Okay. I will follow up with her.
All right. Do we have any other questions for Frank? Any commissioner discussion on that?
Nope.
All right, then let's go ahead and we're going to move forward to the auditor's office. Leo Kim. Welcome, Leo.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So the purpose of this briefing is to go over any questions you may have on the SAO entrance conference documents and for our yearly audit, and also to go over the internal control assessments performed by our CPA firm this year. So let's see, the information was provided in your briefing packets. Each section is divided by into the blue font. The first section is SAO email announcing the audit. The entrance this year was informal, but the exit will be formal. Did you have any questions on that email?
Nope.
Nothing yet.
The second section is the SAO entrance conference document. It's similar in format to previous years. The audit cost this year is $90,000. Last year it was $100.6 thousand. So it went down this year. So that's good.
Leo, when you came in, wasn't it close to 200,000?
It was a chunk of change, and there was all kinds of problems, and it wasn't pretty.
Yeah, I seem to remember close to 190. And how long have you been here now, Leo?
Seems like 7 years.
Yeah, so you thought prices go up in 7 years. Good job.
Yeah. So yep, we've all worked really hard to get things cleaned up, and new things will crop up, and but we're continually working on issues, and but yeah, it's not by accident that audit costs remain the same or go down and so forth. But so anyways, so we're really happy with that. But so the entrance document, it's pretty standard from previous years. Do you have any comments or questions on that or concerns?
Nope.
No.
All right. Section 3 is SAO annual report. It has really good information from SAO. It's good reading, and I recommend retaining it for all employees. Has stuff about cybersecurity, and you'll be glad that you read it. Probably like
it's true, guys. He's got me stuff a year and a half in advance of when we get it.
Yeah. So like next year, I'll be saying, "Oh darn, I should have read it." But anyway, that's my soapbox information. Section 4 is the SAO engagement letter. It details out the county's responsibility and the SAO responsibility. Basically, it's tons of information saying that we better do our job. In short. So that's all of the SAO entrance documents.
Any questions for Leo on the SAO entrance?
Nothing.
Do you have anything else for us there, Leo?
Nope, nothing on that for the entrance. And then section 5 moves into the internal control assessments. So we looked at the sheriff's office, jail, auditor's office, treasurer's office, public works, and public health. Kind of spanned over a long period of time due to COVID, and is working on the annual report. We tried to give the departments a sufficient amount of time to respond to everything. Let's see. And we'll be working on updating some of the other areas as well. So let's see. So for the sheriff's office, under the grant management, that's more of it applies to the countywide as well for written procedures. So the audit committee will be working on that. For the jail, that's will be addressed later on. We updated that. Under public works, when we started that, the finance manager, he was fairly new. So just take that under consideration. For the accounts receivable and cash receipts, basically what we're saying is that there should be better segregation of duties. For the grant management, in short, more training, and the audit committee, we're having some initial discussions about having countywide grant training to assist with that. And then under the cell phone and credit cards, we're going to revisit that. Seemed like there was some confusion on that, just to update that to make sure that that information is correct. So that's Public Works. Then for the health department, under the PP inventory, kind of falls under the same things, about segregation of duties. For the grant management, seems like the county has already taken action on that. If I remember correctly, the county was talking about doing a lien process. Any questions on any of that?
Commissioners?
Nope.
And then on the last section, this is ongoing for the jail, the cash receipting and disbursement process. In short, just in my opinion, it's segregation of duties, and SAO is going to look at that as well. Any questions or comments?
Just so you're doing an awesome job, Leo. We appreciate you very much.
Oh, thank you. We have a good team with the audit committee and financial services. They make me look good for sure. So my goal is I need to do more frequent updates to the board. Kind of lost track. I kind of got off schedule with COVID and everything, but so I can't use that as excuse too much longer. Anyway.
We'll make it happen, Leo. Thank you very much.
Yep. So that's all I have.
All right. Anything to go for Leo? Last. All right. Thank you, Leo. Have a great day.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks, Leo.
All right. Next up is community services. We're a little bit early. Is Dave? Are you on here?
Coming on. There we are.
Are you prepared to go early? You okay?
We can start. Let Lydia know. Hold on just a second.
Lydia's here.
Lydia's there? All right. Then I think we can rock. So is Alex on as well?
Yep. Alex is on too.
Okay. So our first thing, commissioners, we want to talk about our storage of public health COVID-19 emergency supplies. So right now we've got 4 trailers. We purchased 2 this last year. We have 2 that are we've had in years past that have been left out in the weather and leak, and we've had problems with keeping things dry and workable inside those 2 trailers. What we're looking to do, bringing forward anyway here, is to look at putting a building up that we can combine all of our public health resources that are kind of scattered around the county right now and put them under cover, get them in a place where we're not going to lose those to the weather, and to just have something that's more climate controlled for those things. And talking with Frank, there's a piece of property that the county is looking at. If we do this, it's going to be a pretty quick turnaround. What we're thinking about is a pole building type facility to put out at on the new property. But the funding I'm looking to use is my CARES funding, which requires us to use it by the end of December. So at least have it obligated by the end of December. So if we do roll on this, we'll need to roll quickly. So this just bring it forward for the kind of initial look around and see if this is a direction the county would like to go.
Frank is looking into you've been communicating with Frank as well with this too. Correct.
Right. I mean, it's possible we could probably put, if we do it right, we could put some DEM things in there as well. So it would be just a public health thing, but we could put DEM things as well, because it kind of really all rolls together. It makes sense.
all for basically the same purpose. I mean,
Even if we put trailers somewhere or whatever, if we put it up at Public Works, we'll have to pay for space usage of some sorts. We found that issue a while back, years ago. So we probably want to consider making sure it stays at MCRA or one of our entities where we're not having to pay extra for storage.
right. Frank, aren't you looking at the PUD property?
That's correct. This is in regards to the PUD property and using a portion of that property to put that pole building on.
When do we have an acceptance on their side?
Yes.
And when is the expected close?
30 to 45 days.
Dave, can you help on the building permit side?
I think I can talk to some folks.
Don't do anything out of line. I'll come after you now.
No, yes.
Careful.
Hey, I just stepped away. Did I miss something I needed to be involved in?
So we're talking about a pole building to store supplies in. So one of the things we had talked about, Kel, was that this CARES funding that I'm looking to use in this, I have to have obligated by the end of the year. So if we do this, the property has to be purchased and then permits submitted and obligations met, or at least put in place before the end of the year, so I can have that money to use for that. So it's going to come kind of fast and furious, but it's got to go into queue with everybody else. But
Are you looking for special favors here,
No,
Dave, on building?
but you know what? In reality, though, you don't have to.
He was not.
You don't have to wait for it to be purchased to put in a building permit and stuff.
We can start putting all that process together right now, Commissioner. You're right.
Put it together now and get it through now, and then we should be okay.
We should never say, I know somebody.
Yeah, I know.
I got a guy.
Yeah, so you can request your appointment today. Our appointment system is now functioning very well, and you could probably get an appointment as early as this week, if not even today. You're ready.
Get on the computer, make it happen.
Yep.
Yeah. So in that, we'll get with Kelly and try to pick an appropriate size building. So I would rely some on his expertise on the building end of things, and then in talking with Alex, basically we buy it's a package, So we can start, if you're willing to go forward on this, we'll start working on it.
I prefer the building to the storage containers.
Yeah, I agree. We have an opportunity in front of us. We should seize it.
And I also think the building should be appropriate size, not just the smallest we can get away with. Personally, find out what it'll cover, what the funds will cover, and build for the future if you have any future at all that you can provide for.
So that fund, I've got less than 200,000 in it right now. And projecting out through the end of the year, I'm looking at my calendar. We use that for our motel and some of our other COVID expenses, but we can probably free up around $120,000 for the project. So I'll get with Kelly and see if that is a reasonable number, and we'll start marching forward.
Sounds good.
Okay. All right.
In reality, though, you might want to, you mentioned DEM. Talk to Frank, sit down with him and see what we can do about partnerships on this, because it makes sense if we're going to do it once, do it right, do it big enough to handle whatever we're going to do. We have other needs, and it saves money if we can, get a building up at one time that'll cover all of it.
Hey, Frank, wasn't there some FEMA monies as well that we might be able to access?
I believe, yes, there were. So, and yes, Dave and I will work together to make sure that it can accommodate what DEM might need and or what the county might need.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so any other questions on that? Moving on, Alex, you're up.
Great. Good morning, commissioners.
Morning.
Right.
First, thanks for the approval to proceed on that. We'll keep working on this. This storage need is gone on this past year. It has really become more of a bigger issue. So as it seems like this past year, we've constantly been asking ourselves, where are we going to store this? Where are we going to store that? And so this will really help us now and in the future. So to start, I've got a request to post and fill a upcoming environmental health specialist position. Kayla Hom has announced her resignation from Mason County, and we are looking to backfill that position as quickly as we can.
Any issues with that, commissioners?
None for me.
No, I know Kayla did a great job, so I wish her well in her future endeavor.
All right, Alex, make it happen.
Will do. Next, we've got our Clean Water District Advisory Committee. Just marching forward on next steps with this. We've got our committee in place as of last month, and we're needing to fill our citizen positions. So this is just notifying the public that we've got some vacancies that we need some applications on.
You need it for tomorrow's or the next one?
I didn't request it for tomorrow's. I was thinking we could read it on the 28th, but whatever works. I don't think this is too big of a hurry.
Rather not add things on if don't need to.
Yep, I think that's fine. And that's all I have.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, we have Lydia with PHN.
Good morning, commissioners. I also have some position requests for COVID assistance. We're really still struggling trying to keep up with our day-to-day work besides the added COVID work. And so we had one that we asked for a couple of weeks ago. That one it will be starting on the 20th. This is now, I'd like a public health nurse. These are temporary full-time COVID positions covered by the COVID funding to help fill in the gaps here where we can't keep up with things. And so this could end up being an RN or a PHN because that's how the position actually reads. And so that gives a great opportunity to have maybe more response for this. But I'd like to create an additional COVID response team is what we're trying to do here so that our current team, who is after 18 months pretty exhausted, can get back to some of their regular duties and start to catch up. So we can get some fresh people in here working as a team. So this would be a public health nurse position. And then I'll just say, just to make it simple, the second one is the community health specialist position, which we do need another one of those, again, temporary, again, full-time, again, COVID related, specifically to work with the team and do a lot of this. We have phones ringing off the hook still again, and I don't think that's going to change. I think it's going to keep happening. So trying to keep up with meeting the needs of the public, the community, outbreaks, things that happen in the county, all of this type of stuff is just climbing again and has been for the last month and a half. And it's just wearing everybody out and trying to keep up with it and be timely. So these two positions, I'm going to throw in a third one, which is simply, we have a temporary extra help position that has been working with us, had been working with us this last year. She became ill, something non-COVID related, and she really kind of wasn't able to continue working way back in the summer, but we never kind of got a final that she's gone. So now we know she's gone. We need to fill that temporary position so we can get that person, somebody back on that. And that would only be an extra help, I think. That's what it was before, and that would work just fine. And so we could, and they're answering.
Talk to me like what?
Excuse me 1 second.
Excuse me.
Madam Treasurer?
Oh. Well,
could you mute,
they
please?
can talk to me like that. Will I do something about it or follow their rules? I don't know.
Oh, I think it just muted.
They can tell me all they want.
Kevin, unmute yourself. I think I muted you.
You did. That's okay.
It changed just as I was pushing the button, so I got her muted. Go ahead. Sorry, Lydia.
No problem. So public health nurse, COVID, temporary, full-time, community health specialist, COVID, temporary, full-time, and then replace the extra help position that has not been around for a number of months so that we can get that back on track. And hopefully then we'll have a good, strong team. The staff can go back to kind of they'll help guide these people, obviously in training, get that team up solid and good. And then they can go back to some of the work that they've had to let sit aside for 18 months. And it's really starting to get difficult to deal with. So that would be helpful.
Commissioners.
I'll jump in. Supportive of all three. Just one suggestion for consideration is on the nursing position. If I would like to maybe see that add to that a master's preference. Definitely think it's great to have the BSN as the requirement, but would like to see that maybe strengthened with a master's, in particular for some succession planning down the line. I think that might be helpful.
A great plan. And our PHN 123 does go from a 2-year RN all the way up to 3 as a master's. So we do have that capability. So yeah, that'd be great.
Good.
Commissioner Trask?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. And I think that, there's so many issues that have gotten, I guess, put in the background or on the sideline. And so many things that we all need to work on. And so I think this is a great plan. I support it 100%.
Thank you.
Okay, and the funds are there through the other COVID fundings. The only thing I'd like to ask is that every once in a while you send us a snapshot of what's still available out there.
Easily done. Actually, DOH has put up a website that we can access internally that shows us really we can go day by day where we're at. So their finance team has been awesome.
Yeah. Now, just if you get us something once in a while, just a little snapshot to throw into our stuff so we can keep a picture in our mind. You know me, I do things in blocks.
I did also put this on for tomorrow already in anticipation and hope she would approve it so we could move forward quickly.
Diane, you have any issue with it going on tomorrow?
No, I'm thinking Lydia said it's already on there. So as long as you're good to go, we'll leave it.
Okay.
Yep, good with me.
Okay.
Thank you.
What else you got, Dave?
Okay, so moving on, we have, well, actually, since we're kind of in health, let's stick to health. Let's go with Casey. Are you on? If not, I'll take it. I don't think
He's
Casey's
on.
there.
Casey? There he is.
There he is. Okay.
Can't hear you.
Hi, Casey. We still can't hear you. We can see you now. Dave, you're going to have to take it after all.
I guess I'll take it. All right. So here we go.
Thank you, Casey. You can do a lip sync impersonation on the side over there if you like.
Okay. So what Casey's presenting is a consolidated contract amendment 23. So it adds statements of work for emergency preparedness and response, adds $29,000 and a little over for emergency preparedness. They changed some of the standards for that because we're in a public health emergency response. We're not having to do exercises to prove that we can do a public health emergency response. So that's kind of nice. Foundational public health, we've talked about this, and I talked to the commission before. It adds $202,891 in foundational public health services money, backdated to the 1st of July. This money comes to us once I finish my report in July and August, and then it goes to OFM. They review my report, then we get the money directly. In the coming year, that $202,000 is going to be going to $762,000. So it's going to be a substantial bump, but it's not reflected in this contract. So that money will come down the road, possibly in Amendment 24. So right now we're just going to be operating on the $202,000. Injury and violence prevention, adding $50,000 for that. That's just a continuation of work we're already doing. It changes some of the statements of work, basically changing the dates, things are required, adds a little bit more money for maternal child health. Now, on the maternal child health, it adds $16,000, almost $17,000, but in the past, we've had a lot more money come to us for maternal child health. So this is actually a reduction in what we typically get for maternal child health. And then on-site septic, $15,000 for work in wastewater management. And that's just a continuation of work we're already doing. So really nothing really ground shaking. I expect the really big stuff to come in our Amendment 24, but Amendment 23 does show in, it's called Elk Funding, which is education and laboratory capacity. That funding that will fund these other positions through the end of the year. And then we have another batch of funding that's coming along with that. So we've got over $600,000 in Elk funding to spend through the end of the year on basically getting work done. So that's good stuff. So we can also use that money, as I'm reading this, I'm gonna go through it again, to pay for testing supplies. So as these new mandates come out to us from the state or from the feds, we should be able to, if we can't open up the pipeline through the state emergency services piece for testing kits, we'll be able to buy testing kits and keep moving forward. So that's Amendment 23. Any questions?
Commissioners, any questions?
None for me.
Just real quick, do you know why they reduced the maternal and child health?
No, I don't. And that's something I'm going to bring up. I don't know. I have my suspicions that people have been moved from MCH into COVID response, possibly because DOH is pretty overwhelmed just now. I've heard from a couple folks just Friday that they got reassigned from normal duties over to COVID response. So that may be reflected in there.
Okay, can you just keep us updated and let us know if other funds are needed? Because that's so important. We need to.
Yeah, so in fact, in my budget request for the year, I have a request in there, and that's part of the piece of that request is to fill in those pieces like maternal child health, diabetes, obesity, all those things that aren't bright and shiny and aren't COVID, that we really know that are killing us. And I'm working with Mason Health, with Eric to really look at what we're doing in the community. One of the things that this does allow us to do, this contract, which is kind of nice, is to pay for a third of an epidemiologist and share an epidemiologist, a really high quality epi person for us, Lewis and Grace Harbor County. By splitting it between the three of us, we can get a really high quality person. And Casey just came in.
The maternal child health block grant, actually the same that it has been, but it's only for 3 months. The contract year ends in December.
Okay.
So it's just for a 3-month period, but it actually is about the same as we've been getting on a yearly basis.
Oh, that's good to know. So it'll be about the same next year. So it's really not a reduction at all.
Correct.
Okay, I was incorrect then. Thank you, Casey.
Yeah, break in for 1 second. Diane and Loretta, I sent you a message. Please look at it. Go ahead, David.
Okay. Anyway, it gives us the ability to have an epidemiologist in much the same way that Chelan, Douglas, and Okanagan went together to have an epidemiologist, because they're an expensive position, $140,000 typically. But this contract gives us the ability to buy into that with our local county partners.
Right. I think it's so important that especially at this time, that we prove that counties have a good grasp on our health and our healthcare needs. I think something, things are in the works at the state level, and I want to make sure that they understand that the counties got it under control, man. We're pretty good.
Okay, any other questions on the contract? Okay. Next up is Kel.
Morning.
Morning, Kel.
Okay, so I'm requesting we hire a building official, and I also believe that we need a full-time fire marshal. We have needed a building official all along, but I felt like there was a lot of work that needed to be done with our department to kind of get things in a place where a building official could come on and be successful. And so prior to today, I feel like we've gotten there in that if we bring someone on full-time building official, that person will be set up to succeed here. Also on the fire marshal, we are outgrowing our 1 day a week fire marshal need. Timing wise, I would like to hire the building official first and have that person help in selecting a fire marshal and writing the job description, et cetera. Of course, both of those positions have been positions that were filled with the county in the past and just are not currently filled. We would request that, or I am requesting that we fill the building official position. We wouldn't eliminate the building inspector position, but we would not fill that at this time. But if we continue to grow in the future, I know both, of course, Belfair, we all know is really booming right now and will be into the foreseeable future in the next several years. But the city of, or the Shelton UGA has some commercial opportunities as well that we might be looking at dealing with. And we're getting to that critical point of needing that building official to just help protect the county and keep us moving forward in a healthy way. Of course, I come from the planning background, so I feel very confident on managing our team through the land use planning legal issues, but I feel less comfortable with that role on the building side of things. So a building official would really help complement my work here and also take on, of course, some direct reports, as I currently have, I think, 21 direct reports. So I think that the county is in a great position to go out for those two needs. And I just wanted to have the discussion today. Kathy Chaussee and I have been looking at the budget, and we want to look at, salary surveys and all that kind of thing. So we don't really have a full handle on what salaries we'd be offering, but the building official, of course, would be a non-union, and the fire marshal would be a union position.
The only question I have on that, Kellen, you and I talked about the other day, is we need to make sure we have a working building official somehow that can go through and do these things. If they're a complete separation and they become strictly management, I think it's a huge disservice. And as for the fire marshal, I think we outgrew that the 1 day thing 2 years ago.
That's true. Yes,
Yeah.
and I have talked to Mike Six about that. So he knows that, hey, if we hire a full-time fire marshal, that his part-time position would be eliminated.
Where did you say you were from?
Let's see. Boy, this is a good day for me. I just need to put that up there. Hold
got
on.
my number, his wife's number instead of him.
I got it.
Okay.
I just need to keep these names up. It's one of those days.
So
Wow.
I do think that the building official position needs to be non-union and in management. So I see the position managing the building and the permit center and having a lead in the permits or in the building side to manage the operations of plan review and inspections, et cetera. And the building official keeping us at that legal level, handling the things like I do on the planning side, the things that, go up to the top, but then I play a middleman because, say with the public or say a contractor or something, if there's an issue that we need to deal with, I have a difficult time because I don't have that experience on the planning end. So I go to my building people, but they're not in that authoritative position currently. So I think that's really important to have somebody at the management level. And that's typically, building officials are in the management level at other jurisdictions.
Commissioners?
Yeah, so I, first off, really appreciate you bringing this forward. I think this is the next kind of logical step in sort of the reorganization of planning and permitting and moving that operation in the right direction. And so definitely supportive of putting a little bit more information together, getting some job descriptions, some ballpark cost estimates and that kind of thing. But what we're kind of up against is twofold. One, codes continue to get more complex, and they're continuing to evolve, and we're also seeing really incredible demand and opportunity in Mason County, in particular in Belfair. We have a number of projects happening up there that are going to require a little bit more attention, and so having a full-time fire marshal makes a lot of sense. Having a building official makes a lot of sense as well. The devil's in the details. So like I said, I'll wait and see what the job descriptions look like and that division of labor. But these are some of the growing pains that we're going to have to go through as an organization in the county as we continue to grow and seize those opportunities. So definitely supportive and appreciate the forward thought on this by you all. So thanks, Cal.
Yeah,
Trask?
yeah, I think it's a great idea and a great step forward where our growth is not going to slow. We're going to get more and more. I mean, you can see it just even around, drive anywhere through our county and you can see growth, and it's exciting and concerning at the same time. But I would like to see some papers and some numbers, but I think it's a great idea.
Does that give you enough direction, Kel?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it.
All right. What else you got, Kel?
I believe that's it.
EIS?
Oh, the EIS, yes. And I don't have a good timeline for you like I thought I would. So I was at a conference last week and we did not have I didn't have a check-in with the consulting team. But they are wrapping up we had extended the contract and had added additional scope elements that had to do with responding to comments both from WashDOT and from the Skokomish tribe and Squaxin Island tribe. So obviously some transportation issues and some water issues. And so those sub-consultants are wrapping up that work. And I know they've been in contact with Loretta. And so I don't have too much of an update as far as timing, but I can brief again next Monday to give you more of a timeline on dates. But we're expecting to go back to the Planning Commission at the October meeting. So that'll be the end of October. And so we'll likely be back to the board or come to the board with the EIS, the draft EIS with the supplemental information. And looking at finalizing that probably in the end of November, December timeline is my best guess right now.
So I'm sorry if I misunderstood, but so are you planning, so it'll go back to the Planning Commission. Will we then get that concurrently or will we not get it until after they're taking final action on it?
Well, we're going to be going out for a 30-day comment period with the supplemental information that's being drafted now. So we went out for, with the draft with the 30-day comment period, and that's where we received some comments that added additional scoping items. So when we reissue the draft with the supplement, we'll have a 30-day comment period, and so the public, including yourselves, will be able to have that. Then we'll during that 30-day comment period, we'll go to the Planning Commission to get their recommendation. They were this close to getting a recommendation for the board. But then, these additional comments came in that required some additional information. And so they weren't prepared to do that. So that's why it goes back to the Planning Commission, because they just haven't made the recommendation yet for which alternative. And then from there, we'll come to the board. So you'll have access to the documents and the information, but you'll wait for the Planning Commission's recommendation before taking action yourself.
Thank you.
Anything else for Kel? All right, thank you very much. Dave, you got anything else for us?
I think that'll do it.
Anything else for Dave? Hearing none, thank you very much, Dave. So we're pretty early here. I've tried to reach out. Diane, are you on there? I sent a message, but I haven't heard back.
Yeah, I'm here. You just sent me an email? Because I looked.
No, I sent you on Zoom. I was asking you to see if you can get a hold of WSU early.
Oh, didn't get that. Okay, I will call over and see.
Okay, how do you guys want to handle this, Commission? We're pretty early yet. WSU is not expected to come on for another 20 minutes.
So let's maybe just take a 5-minute break.
And see if she can get them on. If she can't, we'll come on and take a longer break. Does that sound right?
Sounds good.
All right, see everybody at 10:35.
Thanks.
Okay, welcome back, everybody. Next up is Dan, WSU. Hi, Dan.
Good morning, commissioners. How are you today?
Incredible.
Good. I appreciate the time this morning. First off, I want to take a minute to welcome and introduce you to Heather Duran. Heather Duran is our new 4-H Youth Development Program Coordinator for Mason County. She started last week. So I just want to take a minute to introduce you. This is Commissioner Randy Netherland, Commissioner Kevin Schutte, and Commissioner Sharon Trask.
I'm not Sharon.
Thank you. It's nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Welcome. Good to have you, Heather.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard 4-H. That's a kick. So have fun.
Thank you.
In your packet, you did receive our summer programs report, and I'm not going to read it to you. I just wanted to highlight a few pieces for you and then have opportunity just for some dialogue. In the summer, 4-H in Mason County participated in the Grays Harbor County Fair. That is the Mason County's home fair. We had some participation from our youth members. It was, I'll call it a throw together fair. It was planned in 6 weeks. Typically, we plan the fair in over a full year's time. So it was a bit of a different experience, but it was a wonderful experience for those who chose to participate in it. And we had some good participation from Mason County. We did a virtual and continue to do virtual engagement opportunities with our families and youth in Mason County. We did a rock painting piece. If you ever been around and see these painted rocks all over the place and locations, that's what we had our youth do as well. SNAP educators are busy at the farmers market providing resources to low-income families for food security purposes. Kendall Carmen in our small farms role has done a tremendous job providing cultivating success classes as well as whole farm planning pieces. These are series of classes put on statewide by extension professionals and locally. And we have quite a few participants happening in our area, which is great. And then she is continuing to provide septic workshops as well. We're doing a hybrid model, both virtual and face-to-face, having to plan both as you're well aware how things keep evolving in our communities. Our Master Gardener program is doing well. That's an audience that typically has a bit of a harder time transitioning to an online platform, but they've done a nice job with the food growing that happens up at Catalyst Park. They were able to donate so far 717 pounds to the Saints Pantry locally. And then we continue to provide education on what to grow and how to grow it up there as well. So it's a unique opportunity. And I do want to take the time just to say we're doing evening in the garden on Thursday evening from 5:30 to about 7:30. It's a volunteer recognition event for the Master Gardeners, as well as just some time to reflect on a pretty intense year for them and the successes that they've had. And my last one quickly is the Not Just Weed program. That has done a great job partnering with state parks, as well as the Farm Service or the Forest Service agreements to do some work in our Mason County lands in that area, as well as Pat was able to secure 6 Earth Corps members to help remove some invasive plant species around our area too. So she's a tremendous asset to our program and our community. So just some highlights for you. We continue to provide education programming the best that we can in this unique setting, both virtual and face-to-face, as well as a hybrid of all those moving forward. Any questions on those programs?
Just a quick comment. You guys have done amazing. It's a difficult time for all of us, I think, but being able to help the kids, giving them the take-home bags, the Master Gardeners, man, you talk about brains, big brains everywhere. So just wanted to let you guys know that I appreciate everything that you're doing. You guys are doing a great job, and it is difficult at this time, but you guys are making use of what you have. So thank you.
That'll be my favorite quote for the week. Big brains everywhere.
Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, we're definitely engaging and trying the best we can. I did send you an email about a week and a half ago announcing that the governor's mandate for vaccinations does impact WSU as well as WSU volunteers. We're navigating that as best as we can, and we don't take the stance pro or con with any of this. We take the stance of how do we keep our community engaged the best that we can. So I'll keep you updated with what I know. With the federal government moving the way they did just after that, things are always evolving. So, and as you're well aware, we engage the community, and the community has various opinions on how this pandemic is playing out. So we're doing the best we can, and I appreciate your support. And if you have concerns or comments, please engage with me.
How's that affecting your building, Dan?
Well, it's a county-owned building, and it's staffed with both county staff and WSU staff. So I take the stance of we follow the more stringent policy or rule. If WSU has a stricter policy, we'll follow that one. That way, one staff member who sits 15 feet away is masked and one isn't masked. We keep it pretty standard and safe. Hasn't affected much because I don't have to play the card too much of as of October 18th, I have to let people go. I have 2 staff members who are choosing to not get vaccinated. They're on my grant dollars, so it's not a direct impact, but it will be moving forward after the 18th with that grant deliverable. So I'm still navigating that. We have about a month before that plays out. But again, every day is changing, and it's 2 HR systems, which is always fun to navigate as much as possible.
Good luck. It's a difficult time right now. So, but good luck. Reach out if you need something.
I will. I appreciate that, and I just appreciate your support. If you hear of anything or see anything coming my way, let me know. But I'm happy to engage with you more often if needed. But if this works for you, this also works for me.
All right. Any questions for WSU? Well, again, thank you, Dan, for coming on. Heather, welcome. Honestly, welcome. You'll love it here. The people are incredible. People you work with are incredible. And you must be incredible or they wouldn't have taken you in. So good luck. All right. Anything further there? All right. Thank you, guys. Commissioners, do we have any commissioner discussions? Frank, you just popped back on. Do you have something for us?
I just wanted to update the commission on the agenda. We have on our agenda for Tuesday an executive session for county administrator interviews at 10 o'clock. That's been canceled and it's been moved to next Tuesday at 10 o'clock.
All right.
So we can clear those, and then the ones on the 15th, I have one on my calendar for the 15th as well. Clear all those off.
Please.
Great.
Okay. Anything else? I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
Hearing no objection, we are adjourned. See everybody tomorrow.
See ya.